In this tutorial, we're going to be covering the elimination of a single unit. This is specifically for an HVT target, typically an officer. You may have one or more of these in your mission. I'm sure everyone's made at least one mission where you've got to kill someone. If you haven't, now's your chance, because I'm going to tell you how to do it. We can see in here, this template one I've already got set up basically has the officer spawning at up to 4 individual positions. He is synchronized to a marker, and any one of those markers, including his original position, will be where he will spawn at. So I'm going to quickly rebuild this. So we're going to need a officer volunteer for the target, and we're going to need to give this variable a name, because we're going to be referring to him in our trigger condition. So I'm going to call him HVT officer. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to need to refer to it later. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a trigger condition to identify when he has been killed. So the condition, what we're not going to do is we're not going to synchronize it to anything. We're just going to leave it as it is. And we're going to have the condition of not alive HVT officer. So when that poor chap is dead, this condition will be satisfied and the trigger will fire. So what we need to do now is we need to allow this chap to start at random locations to give him a chance. So to do that, I'm going to put down some empty markers. You can put down as many as you want, and all you do is you select them, right click, and then set a random start, and then click on the unit you wish to have a random start, which will be the officer. So he will start at any one of those 5 places. Remember that the original position is also included. Likewise, be careful about spawning in buildings. Sometimes he might appear under the surface, so you do have to be very careful about where he is placed. Do not let these markers drift over rocks, because the annoying catch is you can't see them in game. So what I do suggest you do is you use another unit as a template, put him roughly to where you'd want in game, and then go to the map screen, and you can then adjust the marker roughly over the position where you'd see that unit. Avoid you clipping into any rocks or anything like that. So now we've got the officer down, we've got the trigger that will fire when he has been killed. We just need to set up the task. We use our familiar task state and create task. There's nothing complex here that we haven't done the last tutorial. We set the title, we set the module position, we'll leave that as it is. Our task type will be kill, which, if I knew my alphabet, is under K. And we synchronize them all together. I have just there forgotten to set the task state. Otherwise, we won't do anything if we fire this trigger. And likewise, as before, we're going to have a quick objective marker to fire when the task has been completed. Again, this marker might not be required if you are using the module position marker on the map, because the 1 and 2 are basically the same. But, well, we're just going to leave it on for an example. Here we go. So, even though there are no activation fields in here, because we are using our custom condition, as in we are not using this list or this trigger, we are using our own separate condition to check this trigger if it can fire or not. We can put any number of different options in here. For instance, maybe we have to kill the officer and also kill his friend. We'll call him HVT Officer 2. What we can do is we can add another condition to say and not alive HVT Officer 2. And that will indicate when both of them have been killed. the trigger will then fire. What we might also do is we might synchronize this officer to the, we might synchronize this create task module to the actual location of the officer. To do that, what we can do is we can sync this to an object, and in the destination we can pick synchronized object, which will synchronize this task and hover will synchronize the task to the location of the object. So if we put officer well out of the way there, move us a bit closer, and what we'll do is we'll just quickly set, in fact I'm going to change that to a area marker, which I can't do for unknown reasons, but let's do that again then. So do 10 by 10, bordered red, call it marker 9. So we know that this chap will be spawning in one of these corners, or in the middle alternatively. And what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to add this onto the activation field so they both turn grey. Okay, so when the HVT officer is dead, this will turn grey, but we will be able to see which position he spawns roughly, and we should be able to identify that because he is synchronized to the destination of this task. So when we go and check the map, we can see he is chosen to spawn in the bottom left hand corner of our box, and there he is. If we were to shoot him now, we get the task completed. Our markers have changed colour, and we have completed the mission. We could take this a step further by, instead of just having the unit spawn at a random position and stay still, we can delete these markers, and we can actually have the unit moving around on a patrol path. So I'm just shift clicking on each of these locations just to mark out some waypoints. I'm then going to change the last marker, the last waypoint to a cycle waypoint, at which this unit will constantly patrol in a square. If we preview this in game, we should see his module task following him. There we go. This can be useful for things such as convoy missions, where players may need to know the status of a unit that can freely move around a map. And I think that's the basics on the location and killing of a specific unit. We can of course use stationary objects. There is no requirement for the object to be a unit. As long as it's any destructible object, we can always use the not alive function. For instance, ammo crates can be destroyed. Fear cache is one. There we go. So what we're going to do is just remove that waypoint. We're going to steal the variable name from our chap here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this ammo cache as our target. We don't need to change the condition because when this cache is destroyed, the trigger will still fire. The only alteration we need to make is destroy cache. There is no synchronized object, so we'll just leave the position as it is. And there is a destroy icon we can use. We preview that. Hopefully there's some charges in here. If we get far enough away, we can see we've destroyed the cache. Job done. Trigger has fired. Lastly, as we did with the unit, we can also synchronize and use multiple markers to give the cache a random locations. So as before, we put down 4 markers, synchronize them to a random start marker. This cache will now start in one of 5 random places. And basically this would mean that the players would have to locate the cache in this area because the cache location is not marked. We did not synchronize location with the task, so players will have to search this area to find the cache and then destroy it. It seems to be the cache has started in the middle this time. And that is the basic principles of locating and eliminating a target.